Okay, chapter 1 is a very short chapter, and here we learn about motion and time study. Just trying to teach you what is motion and time study. And we usually write like this, M and T. That's for motion, that's for time. So motion and time study is purely the study of techniques. And we study techniques. So what does this mean, technique? It's nothing but just a method of doing task or job, doing something. Okay, and that's what technique. So technique is the method, the approach, way, or procedure something is done. So in motion and time, we are going to use technique to study your work. Okay, how do you do that's activities that you do at your work? And we call that the study of motion. And time, same thing. How long does it take to do a task, right, at your work? And you are in the industrial workforce, especially in manufacturing industry. So that's what industrial technology. So we're gonna study techniques to find a way to report the activities that you do at your job, okay? And time it takes for you to do the job. And it's not only for one individual, okay? We study everybody else. So motion and time study is you are studying individual employee, and then you are studying the employees in a particular department, and then the employees came in that company. By studying the motion and time, and come up with a standard, right? A standard time that it takes to do a particular job. And we use that standard time to rate the employee, so to judge, okay, their performance, and also to reward them through salary and that human resources procedures. So motion and time study is something that companies, corporations, institutions, government institutions, okay, agencies do every day. Okay, these are something that is essential management side, and you don't know that you've been studying as soon as you work, but somebody is doing it. For small businesses, they might not do it, but some small businesses, I think they are doing this type of study because it's so important to the return on investment and all business and procedures. So it's really important, and right now what you need to know is motion and time study is purely a study of techniques. So when you think about the technique, talking about the method, the approach, and the procedure, okay? So there are altogether about 25 techniques, okay, from this textbook, plus or minus 10, I would say, okay, in the world. Some company practice less than 20. Some company practice more than that, so it depends on the size of the company as well. Generally, there are about 25 techniques, okay? But not all of them are used. Every day, okay? The researchers or the management, they only pick out a few techniques that they think is efficient to apply to their company. So, but when we study the motion time study, we're going to study everything, okay? Everything. And these are generally what we study at school, about 25 techniques, and they're very effective. But when you practice in the real world, you want to use only one or two, okay? I don't know why, but that's the way it is, because it's too expensive to use everything, and also it doesn't fit to some environment, okay, in the organizational culture. So it depends on that. We'll pick out the effective technique to be used at your work. But when we study at school, we're going to cover about 25. So the main subject of the study is to improve workforce. Your workforce is not a rigid thing. It's not solid. It's always changing. And we call the word dynamic. Dynamic meanings like it is subjected to a change. And change is every day. Why do we have the change? Because the people are different. Okay, the time is different, activities are different. Every day since different people come into work, okay, some people leave the company. So that dynamic changing activities, okay, is always making the workforce interesting. At the same time, you have to maintain a particular standard, okay, to keep the workforce going in the direction the management and company owners and the executives want it to go. So the improvement in the workforce is so important, and if the company is great, they take this seriously. Okay, you can leave the workforce to do whatever do because it is composed with different people. Okay, and everything that we have at work, they appear to be the same, but they're not the same. It's different. Living things and also non-living things. Okay, your machine, even the machines, they break down. Sometimes they're not trained up to the standard. So in order for us to keep the workforce at a standard, we have to use all the techniques and we have to study the activities and then time it takes to do these activities. Okay, so why do we have to do it? We do it in this one, which is to improve. Okay, so ambition is to improve, but in reality is to maintain what we already have. We call that standard. Okay, S-T-A-N. Anyway, D-A-R-D, standard. So, and that standard is again for motion and time. Okay, you don't have all the time in the world to do your job. Have a due date, deadline, okay, limited time. And then you can do whatever you do at work. You have to do form with a standard. Okay, same as work. Here at school, our performance got to be up a particular standard for you as students, also us as teachers, right? So we all have to follow that standard. You can go down a bit and you can go up, okay? but you also have to maintain that average standard. So this is going down and this is going up, and we call these deviations. Okay, going up is plus, going down is minus. So you always have a plus or minus, okay, certain value to that standard, and everything within this we call average standard. So when we look at the motion, time, performance, and how long it takes for activity, got to stay within that accepted standard. Okay, so we use the technique to measure performance, activities, and time. It's got to be within the standard accepted by the company. You can go down a bit, you can go up a bit, up to this value, right? Nothing more than that. You're going to see it time as we go into the how to do that. Okay, so as soon as you go to work, you're being subjected to these measures, okay? And that standard is going to judge whether you're going to stay on job or not. So we think about when we were teenagers, we go work for fast food restaurants like McDonald's or Wendy's or things like that, right? And you gotta perform, and there's a management team that's looking at how you're performing. Okay, so when somebody come to the fast food drive-through lane and they order, and when they get to payment window, right, about 50% of their order got to be done at that point. So when you get to the food window to get your food and your drinks, it's got to be ready. So the time it takes for you to get into the drive-through, order right here, okay, payment right there, and then get your food from here to here, okay, and that activity and time is thoroughly studied every day with different, okay, people preparing and making that happen, that activity happen. So there are about 11, 12 employees right inside of McDonald's to fulfill, right, that we call it rate, okay, performance rate. And that got to be within a particular McDonald's standard. And if you fall down that way, if you go over, then you got a word or get rewarded. Okay, go up, or your rank go up. If you go down so much, then they will erase you, okay? Because you can't keep up that rate. Okay, so now I think you get the idea of what is motion time. So you look at the general categories of motion time techniques. There are only 3. One is we're going to analyze the motion or activities. We are going to study the time it takes to do a job at work. And then we're going to form standards. Okay? So there are 3. Now let's get into motion study. We already know we're hitting techniques. And I told you we're going to hit about 25. And the first part is motion. And there are 10, alright, generally good and commonly used outside. 10 of them to study motion at work. So from 1 all the way to 10, process charts, flow diagrams, multi-activity charts, operation charts, flow process charts, operations analysis chart, workstation design, motion economy, your flow patterns, and then your PTSS is your predetermined time standards system. Okay? Alright. So motion study is nothing but is a design, and we design our workforce and a system at work. Why do we do it? We do it for cost reduction. Okay, so every time you go to work, you're going into a particular system. Okay, and that system has a thoroughly studied design. Okay, where you want the activities and the time, okay, to go in a particular direction to make profit for that company, right? So that we can take care of the company, sustainability, continuity, and also the welfare of employees in that system. In order to make a profit, you have to reduce the cost, okay, to run that system. Since you're running the system, there is motion, there is time to take for that motion to happen. Okay, so you want to target the most efficient system. It's got to be fast and it's got to be right, right? That's why we study the activities, okay, in our workforce at workplace to come up with a great design that reduce the cost and make profit. So how do we do it? We eliminate, we use a technique, combine, rearrange, and then simplify, okay? Elements is nothing but just the activity, okay? And production or service industry, that's just your workplace. We use a principle, right? Motion economy, and we're going to come up with a station, place where you work, and it's got to be good for you, okay? So the operation you're doing go efficiently. Okay, and then this motion study, again, that design gotta improve your quality of life. Why? Because we're generating money out of production or service industry, the system that you're working. This money is going to give you that quality of life. Because if you don't have this, your system is going to be poor. Because without the money, it's difficult for you to be able to have good things at work, like good computer machines, right? And a good office, and all the things you and food, right? Refreshments, restrooms, right? Everything's in there. Everything that is going to make you feel comfortable at work depends on the fit. In order to generate the fit, that gotta go down cost. And this design got to be really efficient. Okay? So it makes work, again, safer, easier. These are just a minor. Major two things just right there. These are just so minor and they come automatically if you satisfy these two. And then it considers operator safety. Again, it's so important. Design got to support the safety of everybody, right? So if you come to school and look around, see there's fire extinguisher, we have the water, okay, sprinklers on the ceilings, and you have emergency exits, okay? You have safeguards for all electricity and its system. So all of that's for the operator's safety. Again, it's the same thing for production and service. And it precedes the setting. So again, time standards is sort of, because if you don't run your activity with a standard, either it's going to take a long time, okay, or you will have different time. You know, different time, only one standard time, and you want to finish for your job within that time, okay, standard time. So it is a detailed analysis of the work method to improve it. Another one is analysis. Why do we need analysis? Is to again come up with a design, a good design, okay? We also use it the motion study to come up with a good design again, to develop the best work method, to develop the motion consciousness on the part of employees, to develop the, economic and efficient tools, fixtures, and production aids, assist in the selection of new machine equipment, okay, train the new employees in the proper method, and then reduce the effort and costs. Alright, so the next one is time study and techniques. 1 all the way to 5. The predetermined time standard system, PTSS, stopwatch. We have standard data formula time standards. We have work sampling time standards. We have expert opinion and historical data time standards. So these are all time standards. So why do we call the time standard system? Is because, again, the study is so accumulated, okay? And it depends on who is doing the work. They don't work forever there. Okay? The employees just come and go. So therefore, you always have to study them. And the averages that they perform are different. So therefore, we study all of them. And then we come up with the average of any kind of working, okay, at a particular station. And we come up with, again, that standard deviation, your plus and minus and the value there, okay, added to your standard time or in that time standard system, okay? And we're going to get into details in later chapters. So anyway, right now, just touch bases, and let's go on to 5. And these are the techniques for time study. So right now, you just try to get the name, okay, get the term that we use, right, in the time study. Okay, just like motion study is for design and cost reduction, time study is for, again, measurement and control. You want to control the cost, okay? So why do we have to come up with the measurement and the cost control? Is because all businesses are very dynamic. Okay, I use the word dynamic, and that's because, again, different people working, and they work at different rate. So you have to study them all the time how they are doing their job. And again, that is to control the cost. So by doing time study, it reduces the cost significantly. And the results that we get from the time study is going to give us these, right? Cost elimination, production and inventory control, layout, a plant layout, materials, processes, quality, safety, all of that are connected to the results of your time study. These are all management. Management is nothing but we monitor the system, which is the workforce. You are in it, and we control everything. Usually is the cost, because you're doing a business. The cost is so important. So time standards increases operation performance, because you're always judging employee performance with that standard time. So always pushing your workforce to go at a particular rate. So therefore, time study result is giving you that time standards, and we use that time standards, right, to run the operation and to increase the operation performance. So you might think like, the operation performance got to always increase. So I think like the operation performance is going like an exponential way or going up. In reality, it's not like that because of the dynamic environment of work. So it's always going like that. It might go up, down, up, down, 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 and come. So when we monitor, alright, these time measurements, and we run that data, you're going to be seeing this kind of trend, not like that, even if you think like we're increasing the operation performance, and this going up and down is completely related to which group of employees are working on that day. They're not the same, even if you have the same employee working every day, right? Performance of the same employee is showing like that because they're human, They also have a machine, by the way, and that machine also is very dynamic because even if they're not living, they still have, issues and so on. Machine also breaks, doesn't phone. You always have to repair it sometimes. Why? Because the machines are also being subjected by different people, right? Using them. And you can't monitor all activities subjected to the machine. So machines, groups also have problem issues. And we call it dynamic. This is also very dynamic. And so therefore, trend like that. Every time you go down, you're back up, right? And this is what we call from here to here, going down, or get the operation back up, increase the operation. It's a everyday thing that you have to do by monitoring, safeguarding, and pushing the openings. So motion and time study is that, and its operation is not always like this. Never is actually. It's always like this. Sometimes it goes up, down, up, down, down. If you go down, you bring it back up by using your time standards, right? And you're always monitoring your work, which is your system. So your system contains a human and machines, and they're different every day. Why? Because we're emotional creatures, and all performance depends on how we feel. And even if we try to force ourselves to work, in our standard performance, sometimes we go down, feel lazy, right, and don't want to do a job. Sometimes have a lot of energy. Sometimes you're not feeling good. Whatever happening at your friends or relationship, they're all affected in your performance at work. Then we can't allow that to happen, because you're running a business. Business is a system. So therefore, you have to keep time standard coming out, your time study, measure, and then control the cost. Cost is a directly related to the employees and the equipment, tools, or the system that they are using. Okay, I think now you get the general idea. As we go into the chapter, we're going to see the technique, Alright, it's not easy, but it's going to be fun. Now, this is just a big word. It's a backbone. Industrial. What it's saying is always there. You're subjected to this study. Every one of us. At any kind of workplace. And you don't know about it. unless you get that job to monitor other people. Yeah, and that's in my line, which is quality assurance and quality system, quality control, technicians or Q. Yeah. Anyway, so and then some small businesses, this job going to the human resources or the business and administrators. Okay. So all of this is supporting sentences for this statement. Motion and time study is the backbone of industrial work. Why? Because of all of this. So one, motion and time study helps employees understand the nature and true causes. So yeah, you can brag about it. I won't be asking any of that. So you can read all of this. Why motion and time study is the backbone of industrial. Well, because it helps employee assist management and reduce unnecessary costs. Again, underline cost reduction, balance the work cells to make again the flow smooth, reduce control and cost, gonna improve work condition environment, motivate the people so that they are going to keep up with the performance. Okay, consider some continuously improved product and quality. This product quality depends on who is working. Creates a lot of, and sometimes also creates some labor management conflict. Okay, this is negative. Why? Because this is the backbone of industrial workforce, and even if you're doing the management and monitoring, nothing is perfect in the real life. Okay, it's always depends on who's doing it and how the person is feeling, what kind of a mission and vision the company has, and how management feel about it. So there always is a conflict in how each person works. They're all different. Okay, even in the management. Creates a cost consciousness which helps them have a competitive advantage. That's just a big word. Okay? Meaning like we have to survive. If your company isn't performing or producing quality product, you will go down. Okay, all the company who are doing a good job is going to take over. So that's kind of like fighting, right? In the business world, competitive advantage depends on how we do our job. Depends on our employee motivated. To motivate a person is so difficult. Okay, at work, you are motivated and you do the work because your life depends on it, because you need that money to live. And without, so for everybody who's not rich and who got to go to work to get money to live every day, okay, the longest you can survive, okay, is probably 3 to 4 paychecks, right? And if you're not motivated enough, then you're gonna lose that job. So you gotta keep that motivation to generate standard for that job. Okay. So anyway, to keep the employees' motivation is really, really hard to do when you are running a business or a system. Okay. So therefore, competitive advantage is just 2 words, right? But is very difficult to maintain that. Okay. And very difficult to play that in. So people who are billionaires running big company like Amazon, right? Tesla, he's a really good businessman. So these guys they're great. Okay, don't judge people by how they look. Okay, it's not only their, direction, how to say, vision. It also depends on who is working for them. Okay, employees, again, employees. But then the system that they make, okay, the design come from here, motion and time study. And that system and the right employees, okay, make if a company is going to go in the right direction or not, okay? And that we call the competitive advantage and the products that we're generating, products that companies generating. So it requires all habits of what successful people usually do to run that system. It doesn't matter how you study, what kind of standards you come up with. The people that you're hiring, if they can't keep up with that standard, your company is going to have an issue right there. So who are you hiring? Okay, this is so important. So important. So the judgment is here. The successful people, like they have habits, okay, common habits, and thus they usually work hard and they think, okay, this is a negative word, but what it's saying here is they think, okay, they think how to do a job, and also they listen, okay, what other people are talking about the job, okay, and then they communicate with everybody in there. All right, this most people do, and that not all boys do to stay out of trouble, right? Those who do either lose a job or they go up, okay, and make great difference right there. So differences between people. Are they successful? Or are they just go with the flow, normal employee? Depends. This, okay, and that normal employee we call routine employee don't do this. Why? Because they want to stay in the job, so they avoid conflicts, okay, by not communicating, by not asking questions, and by not arguing, fighting, meaning like they stay silent, okay. So it depends on who you are. If you want to just keep the job and do the routine, stay in the job, you can do this. Partially successful, yeah. If you want to be truly successful, you are taking risks. You might get fired out, right? If you offended your boss or something, it always happens like that. So brilliant people are that. Brilliant people take a great deal of risk. Sometimes they lose a job if they, surrounded by people who don't like them. But they go up, right? Get rewarded if the people surrounding them can see their values. Okay, so that's a life. If you get into this direction, you think it isn't fair. Right? Smart, intelligent, actually suffer that talented, right? Creative people get ruined or destroyed because of the people around them. Okay, fight them out because they're in a routine. They don't want to accept that because they know if you accept and support those kind of individuals, they will go over, fastest rate possible, right? So that you will see, okay, when you get into the workforce, that issue, constant issue, okay, and the management gotta solve that almost every day. and the same issue, the same problem. And now at university, you're learning all that, so be a shock to you what happened to you. Okay. So anyway, we're done with backbone thing. So just trying to tell you that it's important. Okay, sorry about that. So anyway, so this is the last slide coming back to here. So but that's all chapter 1. And some of my video lectures are recorded last semester, so just disregard right at the time. I can go over every video lectures, so I just want to tell you that if hearing the semester activities or time, just disregard that. Okay, just listen to the content. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop.